everybody. Thank you for waiting. Welcome to the City of Bellevue Council meeting for April 22nd, 2025. We're going to start out talking about the loss of one of our Washington State Senators, Senator Bill Ramos. We're very deeply saddened to hear about his passing. Was it just Saturday or night, I think? And I know all my colleagues knew him and appreciated him very much. He was a tireless public servant. He was on the Issaquah City Council. He moved on to Washington House of Representatives, and he served as vice chair, the House of Transportation Committee. He helped move ahead Washington transportation package. And that provided funding for our Mountains to Sound Greenway. He then moved on to state senator in November. He was a big advocate of East Trail's Wilburton Trestle and the East Trail I-90 gap. And his legacy will live on in these projects. He will be very sadly missed, and we really feel terrible for his wife, Sarah Perry, who is a King County Council member. And then we had another big loss this weekend of the Pope. And Councilmember Neuenhuis asked if he could speak on that, and so we're going to give him the microphone.
Thank you, Mayor. As a Catholic, I just wanted to say a few words and reflect on the extraordinary life and legacy of Pope Francis, a global leader who was a symbol of humility, compassion, and unwavering dedication to the betterment of humanity. His efforts to address pressing global issues from poverty and inequality to climate change resonated far beyond the boundaries of faith and 1.4 billion Catholics around the world. Pope Francis championed the values of kindness, inclusion, justice, reminding us all the importance of caring for one another and our shared planet. His ability to connect with people from all walks of life, regardless of their beliefs, was a testament to his profound empathy and understanding. So as we honor his memory, let us carry forward his vision of a world where compassion and unity prevail. May his legacy inspire us to build bridges, to foster understanding, and work together to create a brighter future for generations to come. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Okay, City Clerk, can we do a roll call, please?
Thank you. Mayor Robinson?
Here.
Deputy Mayor Malakutian?
Here.
Councilmember Hamilton?
Here.
Councilmember Lee?
Here.
Councilmember Neuenhuis?
Here.
Councilmember Stokes?
Here.
And Councilmember Sumadoria?
Okay, we have 4 commendations today. The first one is for Councilmember John Stokes, and this is your last meeting after 14 years on the council. No. What, am I missing something? Okay, let's go back.
Sorry.
Councilmember Sumadoria, would you please lead us in the flag salute?
Pledge allegiance.
Go ahead. Allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, can I continue? Okay. So, where were we? 14 years on the council, on the Parks and Community Services Board before that. Very strong with Bellevue School District. Strong community leader. You have a lot of accomplishments to your name, and we are going to share a proclamation for you, or a commendation for you. I don't know who starts, but whoever has okay, Councilmember Neuenhuis.
Thank you, Mayor. Whereas John Stokes was first elected to the Bellevue City Council in 2011 and subsequently re-elected by the people of Bellevue in 2015, 2019, and most recently in 2023, demonstrating the community's trust in his leadership and in his vision. And
whereas during his time on the council, including terms as both mayor and deputy mayor, Councilmember Stokes served with integrity, compassion, and a steadfast commitment to the well-being of all Bellevue residents. And
whereas Councilmember Stokes brought invaluable leadership to the city's efforts in affordable housing, environmental protection, mental and behavioral health services, and equitable community development. And
dedication to children and families through his work with Eastside Pathways and his advocacy for inclusive, community-based solutions has improved the lives of countless individuals across Bellevue. And
whereas Councilmember Stokes contributed significantly to Bellevue's cultural and recreational vitality through his support for the arts, sustainable urban growth, and parks, including serving on the Parks and Community Services Board prior to his election to City Council. And
whereas he served with distinction on numerous regional bodies, including the Eastside Housing Partnership, King County Regional Water Quality Committee, Sound Cities Association, and the WRIA 8 Salmon Recovery Council, further extending Bellevue's influence and cooperation across the east side and beyond. And whereas John Stokes' tenure on the Bellevue City Council was marked by civility, thoughtfulness, and a tireless pursuit of a more inclusive, vibrant, and connected city for all. Therefore, I, Marilyn Robinson, on behalf of the entire Bellevue City Council, do this 22nd day of April in the year of 2025, hereby commend John Stokes and urge all members of our community to join in thanking him for his outstanding public service and lifelong dedication to the city of Bellevue. Turn on your mic. Do you want to turn on your mic and make a comment?
Yeah. Where is it? I have a long list of things to talk about. Here it
Okay,
is.
let's go.
Yeah, the first thing is, I'm really good at all this mechanical stuff and everything. I went to do this on my computer, and somehow I messed up and I never could get it done, so I did it by hand here, which is okay. No, seriously, these are some of my favorite explorations and actions throughout the 14 years on the Bellevue City Council, and spent 21 years working with the Bellevue School District. My wife Bettina and daughter Genevieve and I moved here in 1991, and she started in Bellevue in we're in I'm just getting mixed up here. We're in Woodridge, and she went all the way through there and into now she went through University of Washington and is working as with childcare. So I worked a lot with the school district, which I'll skip over, but it's one of the things that's really important. And the reason I included that is that it's very, very important for the schools and the city to work together. And I think we've improved that quite a bit. I spent a lot of time working on that. And I served as a state PTSA legislative director, and that's something that really worked into what we've been doing. So I work with the Bellevue School Foundation quite a bit on different things, again. And one of those, which is connected to some of the things that we're doing here, is there was a gentleman who was a very prominent businessman and a parent, and he and Roxanne Shepard, who was the school education improvements action, and worked with the schools, and also we got together and talking about Bill had some ideas about how we need to work together on pathways, and so we were discussing this along the way, and he said that he really thinks it's important that the Bellevue school system and other neighborhood schools, districts, and all work together. And his idea was to develop pathways for safe schools, or schools, and teachers, and to work and all that. So we got to talking about it, and then we talked about the east side, and so what happens, we come up with this idea of a organization called Eastside Pathways, and it's here. And that's always exciting to be involved with something like that. We just had a really good, over the years, I worked very hard to get very good operation together with the Bellevue School District and other schools and all, and that's been really good. The other thing that I really enjoyed doing and working on, even before I came on council, was the city parks. And I was on the Parks Board for 3 years, and Lynn and I on the Parks Board together. And since that time, I spent, of course, really active on and very, hoping that and working to see that we get more parks and all. And I think that's something I can continue to talk about and do.
Yes.
Before I joined the council, I worked with Putter Burt of the Kids Quest Museum, helping to do the original funding and making sure that, any renovations coming along, that we do work on that. And then when I'm on the council, we had the opportunity to work with her and, really making and helping the Kids Quest Museum be a very successful part of Bellevue. And of course, we want to keep going that way. I've been championing the Grand Connection since I saw the one in Denver on my first year in council on a BDA city trip. We got home. They had this amazing place going up from downtown all the way to a new old area up in the hills. And so the next day Monday after I got back, I called together, I had a brown bag luncheon, and we got about 20 people coming there, and that's where we started talking about we need a Grand Connection. And again, that's something, we had about 20 people come to that event, and so we started moving on it, and we all agreed that's a good thing to do, so we're doing it. So, when I was mayor in 15-16, I got the ball rolling to locate and start the planning and work to bring the Grand Connection across the freeway at Bell Red. And with a lot of help, all of this stuff is always a lot of help from a lot of different people. There are dozens of other good things I could talk about, but there's one I really want to talk about that I cherish. As you know, I'm a strong advocate for affordable housing and a decent place for people to live. And a good education, get a good education as well, and good education for all children. So I was a mayor at the time, and we were concerned about a place called
Highland Village.
Yeah, Highland Village. I was going to say something else. Anyhow, so we worked with them, and it ended up, this was a place where it was a school that was really pretty bad, and the housing was, really awful, and it's mostly a Hispanic population. So the city was able to work with the county and other places and get housing, and the school district built a new elementary school. So we had, and Lynn was you were on the council with us and that time working with it. And so we had them all put together, there, and you should have seen, it was just so exciting when I said, this is what we're doing, and people it was just amazing. And that's the kind of thing I think all of us up here and you all work for, is doing something like that really has a real effect. And I still have my little thing where they put, thank you, Mayor, on the thing. And so that was and it's just something we all do, and quite a bit. So anyhow, the other thing I want to talk about is something that has been very important to me, and that is how we work together. Among the many areas of work noted above, I wanted to thank the friendship and healthy collaboration, and sometimes, maybe have these conversations and all. But, Joe Fain and the chamber and others involved, the Bellevue Chamber and and we were kind of getting away from that splitting up in Bellevue. And we all started really working together on this. And and the other is support from Downtown Associations, the Downtown Association, and directed by Patrick Bannon, who's in the audience out here, I know. And from Amazon and Microsoft back before, but Amazon, and I don't know if Pearl's here, but it's another thing we worked on to have really important communications and work, and it's really been a great change in Bellevue. and very good in the activity. So it's great to have all this work that people are doing, and all the way from Amazon to the mom and pop stores, and they're all a blessing to the city. And in the parting, I want to say, express my strong appreciation and joy in thinking and working with Mary Lynn Robinson and the rest of the council members over the 14 years of my council here, and say that my home state of Texas, I would say if I were there, I'd say, y'all done a good job.
Thank you.
And I agree with that very much so. Now, for the final, I want to present something I call the governor's, well, it's the name of it, so I call it that. This is something that I just ran over, I had gotten last year. And this is not all about me. This is something about the community and the council. This is a thing called the Governor's 2024 Smart Communities Award. And it's City of Bellevue Housing Stability Program. And it says awarded to John Stokes, City Council member. And then it says, and this is why I think it's so important on this, is in recognition of outstanding achievement in creating thriving communities, a prosperous economy, and sustainable infrastructure in Washington State. And I looked at this and said, okay, yeah, I did a lot of that, but it only happened because of people on the dais, staff, people in the audience, all of us in this community. And this, I think this just showed what this community does. And I'm so proud of this and glad I had something to do with it. But what really happened and what this really belongs to is the city of Bellevue. And this is just a great example of what we do. So that, I'll close with that and just say I've had a tremendous time in the last 14 years, and I won't go away. I'm going to move over with my daughter and new granddaughter to Ballard. I'm getting real quick.
No, it's okay.
Oh, and but I will be coming back and doing some things from time to time. It's only 30, 40 minutes from Seattle. So, but I just appreciate the time and the opportunities and the support. And it's just amazing how much we can all get done as we do it together. Anything I've done is not just me, it's with the community. So thank you very much, and that's it. Thank you.
Well, I know that your fellow council members would like to say something, so we'll start with Deputy Mayor.
Thank you, Mayor. Oh, wow, John. Thank you. I'm emotional too. I just finished Bellevue Essential in 2017. Didn't know anyone in Bellevue, the city. And I received an email, hey, there is a board opening, planning commission. And then it was like, you need to know some planning and stuff, and I'm a civil engineer, so I knew. I applied in the bus coming back from UW, and then I received 3 days later an email, hey, come in for an interview. I went to the room, and long story short, without knowing me, based on just an interview, Councilmember Stoke appointed me to Planning Commission in 2017. So I am basically here because the trust that he did in me. And since then, I am just learning from him. He is a very thoughtful human being, kind. I learned from him how to respect staff. I think that's an amazing leadership quality that you have, John, that I learned from you. You listen very deeply and leading with your heart, that I think that's very, very important and crucial for a great leader that you are. Thank you for your trust and your kindness, an example that you set for me to follow. You indeed left a legacy in our city. We are going to miss you. And finally, I just wanted to say that you are such a selfless human being. You started your journey on the park because you wanted to impact your community, helping them, and you started that journey and organically become a council member, mayor, deputy mayor. But now you're leaving that because now you want to help your family, your daughter, and helping raising that grand kid that you have. So you are a selfless, compassionate human being, and hopefully, when I get to your age, my legacy is half of what you have achieved, my friend. Thank you, Mayor.
I will go next because you just said everything, and I don't really need to say much more, but I will say, like Mo, I probably wouldn't be here if it weren't for you as well. We were on the Parks Board together, and you were elected to council, and I thought, maybe I could do that. So I called you up and I said, I'm thinking of running. It was like my first thinking, and you said, well, let's get you connected with the people who make you win. And that was it. I got on the train and I didn't get off. So thank you for that. And I just want to echo everything that Mo just said.
And boy, did I do the right thing.
Thank you. Councilmember Hamilton.
Great. Excuse me, thank you, Mayor. I think the commendation speaks for itself, certainly lists accomplishments that any of us would be proud of. Also highlights your collaborative approach, your dedication, your hard work. But what stands out to me about you, Councilmember Stokes, more than anything is your heart. And you love the work that we do on council, and I know that you love the people that you have served for almost all of your adult life. And as you've mentioned, that's a fair amount of time. But I think above all that, it's the love that you have for your grandbaby Agatha and for your daughter Genevieve that is really motivating your decision to retire at this time. And as you told us all on April 1st, you want to live out your life with them. And I just want you to know that you're leaving a permanent imprint on this city and on me, and I'm eternally grateful for that. So I wish you all the best because you deserve it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Councilmember Noonhouse.
Thank you, Mayor. Great comments, and it's been an honor serving with you, John, for these 7 years, or half of the 14 that you've been on here. A couple of things that I'll always remember, and I certainly agree with Councilmember Hamilton that you've, certainly put your imprint on this city, and so respect and appreciate the many years of service to the city and its residents. I'll always appreciate your bravado of let's go big or let's go home. That'll be one of your signature lines that I will definitely remember. And I also just appreciate, and I'm sure you'll recall, about a year and a half ago we had a conversation and we're like, hey, we're heading into a retreat. We need to increase some funds, some spending on human services and the arts. And we had that conversation early on, and we really lobbied hard for that. And of course, it takes all 7 of us, but that was really great to work with you on that, and we achieved that goal. And that was something I also really remember and recall going forward. And certainly the other issue that's been mentioned about the affordable housing. Thank you for being such a champion of that as well, and really leading the charge on that back in 2017 for the affordable strategic plan on that. So please come back often to Bellevue. Who knows, you might be able to get on light rail pretty soon and come across the lake and visit us, but wish you all the best in the future. Thank you.
Councilmember Suma Deweria.
I'm going to try not to be emotional. That's why Dave is not sitting next to me today. I think that for me, my perspective is different because I just started working with you. And then I don't have my grandparents near me. My God. And I see you almost like, like a grandpa and somebody who was so amazing. And I love our trips on BDA where when you talk about your wife and your daughter, the spark in your eye is just like full of love and compassion. And then I had the honor to do the interview with you for our commission. And when you interview each of these candidates, the curiosity and the love and the spark in your eyes was exactly the same. And I'm so grateful that you share that love with all of us and making a change with everybody you touched. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Lee.
Thank you, Mayor. Well, it's so much to say about you. What you've done over your long career. It's, never easy to follow all the others. But that's also the good thing that most of the things that have been said. I know that you have actually spent a lot of time in the government before you came to Bellevue. So you've dedicated almost your whole life to serving the people and working in the government. And so I recall when I was the mayor, I appointed you to serve with other couple council members on Sound Transit project, which is a major project that's a tremendous impact on the region. And I think you have done a great job. We can see the result of it. And Bellevue Light Rail is probably one of the best segments in the region. And so the good things are yet to come. And also, it's important that you have demonstrated your regional collaboration perspective in a lot of things you do, like Cascade Water Alliance, working with the regional water issue. A lot of people don't understand it or don't pay attention to it, but you grab onto it. And so a number of things that you mentioned, working with school district, may not be directly tied to the city. However, it has tremendous impact and influence to our residents in the city. So it's kudos to you with that kind of interest and dedication, time you spend. So thank you for your long service.
Thank you.
Wonderful. Okay, so we are going to do a picture, but before we do that, I'm getting nervous because we have like half our first responders in the room here, and I feel like if something happened, we need them outside of the room. So let's go ahead and read the International Firefighters Day proclamation, and that's going to be accepted by Battalion Chief Steve Thomas. And Councilmember Lee, I believe you are reading this.
It's my pleasure to read the following proclamation. I have a real personal story I just want to mention quickly. Last week, my wife and I came home from a dinner, and she suddenly has a pulse went up to 140. So it kind of escalated and went up and down for the whole evening. About 4 a.m. in the morning, we called 911. And in less than 1 minute, fire truck medic showed up. And then they were so efficient and very effective, and they took care of the situation. So I really want to express my personal appreciation for what you guys do. You guys is amazing. You are a fraternity of working together, helping all. Thank you. So it's my pleasure to read the following proclamation. Whereas International Firefighters Day is observed annually on May 4 to honor and remember the courageous firefighters who have lost their lives in service to their communities, to express gratitude to those who have served and to recognize those who continue to protect and safeguard our residents today. And whereas this global observance was established following the tragic loss of firefighters in a wildlife in Victoria, Australia on December 2, 1998, as a way to honor their sacrifice and acknowledge the dedication of firefighters worldwide who risk their lives daily in the line of duty. And whereas firefighters face significant personal and physical challenges, demonstrating exceptional bravery and selflessness as they respond to fires, medical emergencies, and disasters, often at great personal risk, to protect lives, property, and the well-being of their communities. And whereas the Bellevue Fire Department continues to uphold the highest standards of excellence, maintaining its international accreditation from the Commission on Fire Accreditation International since 1998, reflecting the department's unwavering commitment to professionalism, preparedness, and public safety. And whereas Bellevue firefighters serve with dedication, responding at a moment's notice to emergencies, ensuring the safety of individuals and families, and supporting the resilience and economic stability of our community. Now, therefore, I, Conrad Lee, on behalf of Lynn Robinson, Mayor of City of Bellevue, Washington, and on behalf of City Council, do hereby proclaim Sunday, May 4, as International Firefighters Day and encourage all Bellevue residents to show appreciation for the courage, dedication, and sacrifices of our Bellevue Fire Department personnel and firefighters everywhere, as well as honor the memory of those who have given their lives in the line of duty. Signed, Lynn Robinson, Mayor of the City of Bellevue.
Thank you. Welcome.
Thank you. On behalf of Chief Hagan, Chief Tate, and the more than 200 men and women of the Bellevue Fire Department, thank you for this recognition and for your ongoing support of the Bellevue Fire Department. It's our honor to serve the Bellevue community and our contract cities. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Can we have everybody come down for a picture? We have an Earth Day proclamation that's going to be accepted from Mei Ling Hao, lead of Little Masters Club Sustainable Bellevue Ambassador Program, Isabel Wang, co-organizer of Recycle and Recreate Market Fair, and Kylie Schulman from Bellevue Sustainability Ambassador. And it is going to be read by Councilmember Stokes. Would you like to come sit up here?
Okay, whereas April 22nd, 2025 marks the 55th anniversary of Earth Day, a global day of recognition that began in 1970 to inspire awareness and action for the environment. And whereas Bellevue's identity as a city in a park reflects its longstanding commitment to preserving and enhancing natural spaces, ensuring clean air and water, and promoting biodiversity. And whereas the City of Bellevue continues to lead on sustainability through its Sustainable Bellevue Plan, setting ambitious goals to address climate change, energy efficiency, sustainability, sustainable mobility, waste reduction, and natural resource conservation. And whereas Bellevue is taking proactive steps to reduce greenhouse gas emissions, promote clean energy, support green infrastructure, and expand urban forests to build climate resilience and protect future generations. And whereas community engagement plays a vital role in achieving Bellevue's environmental goals, with residents, businesses, and organizations actively participating in tree planting, habit restoration, litter cleanups, and climate action initiatives. And whereas the City of Bellevue invites all who live and work here to join in 8th Earth Day activities, volunteer efforts, and environmental education opportunities, including the event on April 23rd, 2025, to learn about advancing climate resilience in Bellevue. And now, therefore, I, on behalf of Lynn Robinson, Mayor of the City of Bellevue, Washington, and on behalf of the City Council, do hereby proclaim April 22nd, 2025 as Earth Day in Bellevue, and encourage all residents to take action, whether by reducing waste, conserving energy, protecting trees and waterways, or engaging in community initiatives to ensure a more sustainable and resilient future for all.
Thank you, Councilmember Stokes. Welcome.
Thank you. And good evening. My name is Mei-Ling Ho from the Little Masters Club. Over the past 4 months, my team of 20 high school volunteers and I helped promote the Sustainable Bellevue Plan to over 1,500 Asian American families. Among the Little Masters Club community are families, neighbors, and friends. We collected over 200 positive feedbacks from the Sustainable Bellevue Plan survey. People who took our survey said they were very happy that their voices can be heard and to be able to support the city in developing the long-term sustainable development plan of our community. Thank you.
And I'm Isabel Wong, from co-organizer of the Recycle and Recreate Market Fair. In the past few months, we have been conducting workshops, creating art utilizing waste materials, and we will be displaying these products as well as similar creations made by community artists in the market fair hosted here at Bellevue City Hall on Saturday, this Saturday from 2 p.m. to 5 p.m.
My name is Kylie Schulman, and I'm a senior at Newport High School who has been working with the Sustainability Ambassador since my freshman year. I'm so grateful to see Bellevue commit itself to preserving and supporting our environment because our actions now will have ripple effects into our future. Each habit we form moves us closer to a larger next action. From increasing pedestrian walkways to electric buses and enjoying a beautiful day like today, Earth Day reminds me to recommit ourselves to our one and only planet.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. Have a seat and we'll do pictures at the end here, but just stay with us, okay? So you can sit in the audience again. I'll go ahead and read the next proclamation and then we'll come down and we'll do pictures with you too, John, okay? So I'm going to read the National Week of Action for Missing and Murdered Indigenous Women and Girls, and that's going to be accepted by Linda Smith, who's an enrolled member of the Tulalip tribe, former member of Tulalip General Council, and a retired Lutheran pastor. Is Linda here today? No? Okay, well, I'm going to read it anyway. Whereas Indigenous women, girls, and Two-Spirit people across the United States, including in Washington State, experience disproportionate rates of violence, abduction, and homicide, creating a crisis that demands urgent attention and action. And whereas since 2017, grassroots actions have grown at the local, regional, national, and international levels to recognize the National Week of Action for Missing and Murdered Indigenous Women and Girls, to raise awareness, honor the lives lost, support affected families and communities, and advocate for justice and systemic change. And whereas, according to the Urban Indian Health Institute, Washington State has one of the highest numbers of reported cases of missing and murdered Indigenous women and girls, while the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention lists murder as the third leading cause of death for American Indian and Alaska Native women, underscoring the need for increased awareness, stronger policies, and improved coordination among law enforcement agencies. And whereas the City of Bellevue recognizes the importance of amplifying Indigenous voices, supporting efforts to address these injustices, and ensuring that all community members, especially Indigenous women and girls, are protected, valued, and heard. And whereas the Bellevue City Council affirms its commitment to working with tribal nations, Indigenous-led organizations, and community partners to support meaningful action, policy, solutions, and healing for impacted families. Now, therefore, I, Lynn Robinson, Mayor of the City of Bellevue, Washington, and on behalf of the Bellevue City Council, do hereby proclaim April 29th through May 5th, 2025, as National Week of Action for Missing and Murdered Indigenous Women and Girls, and call upon all residents of Bellevue to join in recognizing this crisis supporting Indigenous-led efforts for justice, and working toward a future where Indigenous women, girls, and Two-Spirit people are safe, protected, and empowered. Okay, let's go down and we'll have a picture with the Earth Day people.
Your efforts and your expertise for many, many, many years. I've so appreciated getting to know you better in the last couple of years. And one thing I will take away from you is consider thoroughly and then get it done. And so that will help us all continue to move forward. And so from the staff, we're very grateful for your dedication to Bellevue. And as many have said, your legacy will be very long-lasting. In true form, you're not getting a street sign, you're getting a railroad crossing. And you can take this. You can take this to Seattle, and we can have Bellevue over there. Okay.
correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe we'd like approval of the agenda.
I move to approve the agenda.
Second?
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay, next up is oral communications. City Clerk, could you tell us if there's anyone signed up?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. This evening, there are 8 pre-registered speakers. So before I start calling names, I'll go over a few of the rules that the council has in place. So the total time for oral communications is for a period of no more than 30 minutes. And all topics have to relate to City of Bellevue government. People speaking to items on tonight's agenda will be called first. And then if time remains, people speaking to items not on tonight's agenda will be called. In both of those categories, the presiding officer has authorization to give preference to people who have not spoken to council within the last 60 days, or who will be speaking on topics that will come in front of council within the next 60 days. Each speaker is allowed up to 3 minutes to speak, and only 3 speakers are allowed to speak to any one side of a particular topic. And then also I want to remind folks that in compliance with Washington state campaign laws, the use of public facilities during elections, that no speakers are allowed to support or oppose a ballot measure or a campaign, which includes people's own campaign. Any speaker beginning to talk about any of those topics will be asked to stop. So with that, I'll call our first speaker, who is Neil Borate.
So does my time just like start now? Okay.
There you go.
Thank you very much for the opportunity to speak. My name is Neil Borate, and I'm 14 years old in 8th grade at Odell Middle School. I'm an active member of the Sustainability Ambassadors, Bellevue School District Sustainability Design Team, and my school's Green Team, and I deeply care about the climate. I believe that technology has the power to solve all of, or many of our environmental challenges and create a more sustainable future. So far, I've worked towards sustainability by designing, prototyping, and implementing sustainable designs and solutions. Some of the sustainable designs I've been working on are an application called Find My, which is a novel AI-powered lost and found system for schools. Through Find My, we indirectly deposit less items in landfills, manufacture less items, and also replace less items. I have been working on sustainable acoustic panels for music studios, which also helps reduce environmental impact by using greener materials and also helps shift the manufacturing cycles towards manufacturing more greener products. Additionally, my family has also installed solar panels in our home to further reduce our carbon footprint. I would like to thank the city for its tremendous work that was put in for the Earth Day proclamation and Earth Month activities. This truly helped engage the community. Also, I would like to showcase the efforts to restart the Solarized East Side program, helping community members install solar panels in their homes and businesses. I'm looking forward to seeing more solar panels on homes in our community. I see that Bellevue's greenhouse gas emissions are still below pre-pandemic levels, but if you want to cut emissions by 50% by 2030, we really need to up our game. The Sustainable Bellevue Plan has made good progress, but we must scale up efforts, especially in buildings and transportation, which produce about 85% of our emissions. Programs like Energy Smart Eastside are a good start, but we quickly need to expand access to heat pumps for homes and businesses, including multifamily housing. Transportation is another major opportunity, and it's great to see the light rail. As more people move around after the pandemic, we need to improve bus service, create more greener school travel options, and make walking and biking safer across the city. The year 2030 is just around the corner. Taking strong action now will not only cut emissions, but also improve air quality, reduce energy costs, and create green jobs. To conclude, I believe that with bold action, innovation, and community support, Bellevue can lead the way in sustainability. Let's keep moving forward because our future depends on it.
Neil, good job.
Thank you.
City Manager, can we make sure that our environmental staff reach out to him so that he is part of the community that can weigh in on the decision that we're working on?
Yes, Mayor, we look forward to doing that.
Thank you.
Thank you. Our next speaker is John Scheller. Looks like also our next speaker, David Frappier, is joining him.
Thank you, Mayor Robinson and council members. John Scheller, King County Library System. I'd like to commend the Parks Department for their community engagement efforts in drafting the Ashwood Park Master Plan. The library very much appreciated the opportunity to provide our input. Thank you. David?
Speaking as regional manager responsible for the Bellevue Library, just to echo as John said, the Parks Department really knocked it out of the park with its co-creative efforts to try to create a park that really reflects the community that we serve here in downtown Bellevue. From listening sessions to targeted focus groups with members of my team, we really see, I think, ourselves reflected in this plan. And we really think that it reflects a space that is truly going to be able to build community and create a welcoming environment for all those who live in our diverse city. So we just wanted to come here today to really sound our ringing endorsement of the work of the Parks Department, and I applaud the work of the staff for their incredible efforts.
Thank you.
Great, thank you.
Our next speaker is Jennifer Keller.
Thank you very much for the opportunity to speak. My name is Jennifer Keller, and I live in Lake Hills. I'm very fortunate to be a longtime Bellevue resident. I wanted to speak today, Earth Day, about climate action and the work of the city to press forward with the Sustainable Bellevue Plan. Thank you for the efforts that Bellevue has made to reduce our emissions, which I remain concerned about because of the challenges we still face. I was very glad to see the Earth Day proclamation today and enjoyed Bellevue's Earth Fest at the Botanical Gardens this past weekend. I also attended the April 1st City Council meeting when the sustainability team gave the quarterly update, and I was especially grateful to hear council members asking questions about how we can really try to achieve our challenging goals, such as the 50% reduction in emissions by 2030. I'm also glad to see Solarize Eastside get going again, and I appreciate the start we've made with Energy Smart Eastside. I help mentor young people who want to work towards sustainability through groups like Sustainability Ambassadors and the Bellevue Youth Council, which has a climate action team. And note, I'm speaking as an individual today, not on behalf of any group. So I wanted to speak up for their future, which those of us who are older need to keep in mind. I'd like to focus a bit on our efforts to reduce emissions in buildings, but of course transportation is also an important element, things like more transit and multimodal options. So while I'm glad to see Energy Smart Eastside start to move more people onto heat pumps, the numbers are still small and we need to do everything we can to scale that up. Similarly, the Clean Buildings Incentive Program is great, but we need more extensive programs to help reduce the carbon footprint of multifamily homes and commercial buildings across Bellevue. Improving all our buildings can really help reduce our emissions and help people save money too. So on this Earth Day, I'm really grateful for the city's efforts and the city council's efforts. And when I think about young people, I feel the urgency of taking climate action quickly and effectively as we can. Please do everything you can to step up the pace of the implementation of the Sustainable Bellevue Plan. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Paul Quinn, who is joining us virtually. Mr. Quinn, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Perfect. Your time begins now.
Okay, good evening, Mayor and council members. My name is Paul Quinn, and I live in Sammamish. I'm speaking to you as an individual who cares about fairness and how Bellevue's solid waste customers are charged for disposal. Right now, we charge our residents and businesses for disposal based on the size of the container being picked up. The effect of the message is to say we don't care about how much you put in or divert from the landfill. And this approach is completely unfair as it charges all people based on the size of the container rather than what's in the container. And we all know this is wrong as our water, gas, and electricity are all based on what we use rather than on the size of the wires and pipes connecting us to service. I've emailed you a few handouts. Handout number 1 shows a graphic of the trend of the monthly cost for garbage disposal for your single-family residences. It continues to go higher and higher, and just recently, as you know, King County is telling us their disposal charges passed on to Bellevue residents is likely going to double in coming years. What is worse than this trend line is that this city doesn't allow residences or businesses to reduce their costs for disposal by properly diverting materials for recycling and compost. In effect, you unfairly increase costs because folks sorting recyclables and composting food scraps are charged the same as everybody else that's indifferent about that. This is unfair, and it can and should be changed by weighing the refuse each customer creates. To begin this change, I recommend a pilot program called Smart Disposal, which will help significantly improve the city's diversion rates. And a note, Smart Disposal is an innovative initiative. It's not a company. Handout number 3 outlines how Smart Disposal works in some detail. I'll now briefly describe what Smart Disposal is. Smart Disposal weighs each container picked up by the hauler at each single-family home. The system uses postcards mailed to each resident, providing data specific to the resident, including landfill diversion rates per pickup and how the use of the utility compares to others in the community. I provided handout number 4 to show an example of what a postcard looks like for residents, and it really moves us away from the toss and forget mindset towards making better choices. We all know that feedback through measurement works because water, electricity, and gas are metered, helping us moderate our use. Smart Disposal provides the meters our disposal utility needs. I've spoken with John Geyer on the city staff, and John is responsive and thoughtful. However, we need this council to provide the urgency and the leadership to drive Smart Disposal forward. What I recommend to you today is Bellevue, this city known for its commitment to innovation, implement Smart Disposal. Metering and reporting to residents what they dispose of at the curb provides fairness to help us abate the increasing cost of disposal. This council should support fair pricing for our disposal utility. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Carol Ann Yamamoto.
Hello, Mayor and council members. My name is Carol Ann Yamamoto, and I work at Bellevue Big Picture School, which is located near Robbinswood Park and Bellevue College. I'm here specifically about the I-90 Sunset Creek Fish Pass. The city's been working with BSD to make sure that our buses could still access our kids throughout the district, but also specifically Big Picture students who live at Polaris. On Monday, they found that the construction crews had placed the barriers right at the driveway. So the buses didn't have that 20 feet that they needed to do a turnaround. Polaris has a turnaround driveway, but the big buses don't fit in there. They're not supposed to be using private driveways anyways. And so then everyone had to scramble, and they moved the bus stop up to 139th. A couple things, I know that 0.33 miles isn't a lot, but I think for kids at 7:30 in the morning, it's kind of a lot. It'd be a lot for me. And also that route isn't great for students, and it's not great for families who worry, especially when you have young girls and girls of color walking to the bus stop. I am hoping that somehow you can see if that barrier could be moved 20 feet so the buses can do that 3-point turn. And the district really, when I called today, they said, well, we'd prefer to do 30 3-point turns than have a location that really doesn't work for families. So I'm hoping that perhaps you can see if there's something that can be done so that our kids could have an easier time of getting to school.
Thank you for your comments. I know our city manager will get back to you. I feel like we have till Monday to work this out, I hope. So anyway, the city manager will reach out to you.
That would be great, because we knew it was coming, and on Monday it just kind of went to pieces.
Thank you.
So, thank you.
Our final pre-registered speaker is Maria Hudson.
Hi. Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
I want to talk to you guys about the school to prison pipeline, specifically the anti-literacy, sexual slavery, involuntary servitude, peonage to SCORE. I've been in this district since 2002. My biggest concern right now, Detective Alexander Slesser, over 18 months now, is investigating Sueños cartel that was on Bellevue School District that sex trafficked my daughter out of there. What is concerning to me is that that is a violation of safe harbor laws and the actual literal school district law that cites my daughter's demographic as a black girl being sex trafficked out of school. It goes on to further say medical legal definitions are unknown. It goes on to further say that police officers are ill-trained, that they don't know sex trafficking laws. And it even further goes on to say that they criminalize them. There is a special relationship with black women, girls, boys, and men about sex trafficking in America. And if we have an anti-literacy slavery school to peonage profiteering system to score, complete with Sueños cartel, which is considered to be a domestic terrorist organization, the school district has been notified about sex trafficking students from the juvenile court, Bellevue Police Department, the principal, the superintendent. And at this point, with my disabled daughter being developmentally delayed, your police officers are showing up, violating the Violence Against Women's Act. We are in the system since October 2023 as a number and an alias, and furthermore, safe harbor laws, including Bellevue Fire Cares and NORCOM. When we think about women and children and the ubiquitous nature in which society harms them, I am asking Madam Mayor to see to it that Bellevue Police Department stops violating safe harbor laws, both for CSEC when she was a minor and now a vulnerable adult, the Violence Against Women's Act, where it's reauthorized the 2022 Subpart 3, fair housing violations, as well as NORCOM and Bellevue Fire Cares, because safe harbor trauma treatment is different than any kind of community mental health laws. So basically, we're being assaulted a second time by police and other responders, okay? Expecting my daughter to socio-emotionally learn out of being a sexual exploited survivor. And it's of the utmost importance.
Ms. Hudson, I apologize, your time has expired.
Oh, okay.
Thank you. That is the end of our pre-registered list. So at this point, we do have time for 2 additional speakers. So if anyone would like to speak to the council, please raise your hand. That includes those online. Okay, no hands, Mayor. I'll turn it back to you.
Okay, thank you. I think next up, we have the report of our city manager talking about neighborhood enhancement program update.
Thank you, Mayor, council members. We have one report tonight under the city manager's report, and this is an informational update on the neighborhood enhancement program, as you mentioned. This program provides our residents with opportunities to make recommendations on city-funded projects in their neighborhoods. It's been very successful over the years. So joining us from the Community Development Department, Mark Heilman, our neighborhood outreach manager, and Teresa Cuddill, our neighborhood enhancement program coordinator. So with that, I will turn it over to Mark.
Thank you. Good evening, Mayor Robinson, Deputy Mayor Malakutian, and council members. Teresa and I are excited to be with you this evening to give an update on the Neighborhood Enhancement Program and how our very creative and very engaged residents are participating in this unique capital program. Tonight's presentation is for information only.
The Neighborhood Enhancement Program was launched by the city in 1988 and provides residents with the opportunity to recommend and select small capital projects for city-funded improvements in their neighborhoods. NEP rotates through Bellevue's 14 NEP neighborhood areas with a $7 million budget over a 7-year cycle. We are currently in the 2023 through 2029 budget cycle. Small projects can make a big difference for our residents and our neighborhoods. Reflecting the varying character and creativity of each neighborhood area, NEP projects range in type and scope, including gateway landscaping, wetland enhancements, park and playground improvements, trails and crosswalks, lighting, and even the addition of bat houses in the Lake Hills Greenbelt.
The success of NEP is due to residents' participation with their ideas and decisions on improving their own neighborhoods. Residents are invited to multiple online and in-person meetings, and they're invited to be part of a democratic process to direct city funds for local improvements. The budget for each respective neighborhood area is based upon the number of households in that area, and suggested project ideas that are out of scope for the NEP program are forwarded on to the appropriate city department for consideration as future project ideas from other city budgets. Another very strong element of the Neighborhood Enhancement Program is the city's NEP core team, which is comprised of staff from community development, transportation, utilities, and parks departments. Subject matter experts and project managers are crucial to NEP. They meet with residents at kickoff meetings, and they scope the submitted project ideas from residents. And finally, they are the ones that implement to completion the capital projects that residents have selected in their respective neighborhood areas.
The next 3 slides are examples of recent NEP projects, starting off with this collaboration in Northeast Bellevue, the 164th Avenue Northeast Landscaping Project, which provided beautification and increased safety near 2 schools and Crossroads Park. This project was completed last year. In the Cougar Mountain Lakemont area, residents suggested and selected safety upgrades for the pedestrian bridge at Lakemont Community Park. This project was completed in the summer of 2024. The third project example is one that recently began construction. This project was suggested in 2019 by Sarah Cagle, a renter in downtown Bellevue at the time, and was selected by downtown residents. The Northeast 8th over I-405 project will improve safety for pedestrians crossing I-405 along Northeast 8th Street by marking crosswalks, adding rapid rectangular flashing beacons and signalizing crossings. The concrete islands will be modified and landscaping will be added to buffer pedestrians and improve the appearance of this gateway entry between downtown and Wilburton. This map shows the 11 NEP projects in 6 neighborhood areas that were completed in 2024 and the 9 NEP projects planned for completion in 7 neighborhood areas for this year.
NEP reaches all residences in Bellevue with multiple mailings and outreach. Last year, NEP was in the Westlake Sammamish area with 436 voting households, representing 18% of total area households, and Northeast Bellevue with 550 voting households, representing 14% of the area. In these 2 maps, we can see the wide distribution of voting households in both of the areas. We're grateful for the enthusiastic resident participation and the new contacts that we gained through the program. Throughout the program, each area, and then with the evaluations from residents, NEP receives very high ratings, including this quotation from a Lake Hills resident. Neighborhoods are important to the city. They're willing to invest in them, and they're willing to listen to the people who live in the neighborhoods on what's important to us. It's one of the many reasons why I am very proud to call the city of Bellevue my home.
Finally, in 2025, NEP is accepting project submissions and voting from the Bridle Trails and Northwest Bellevue areas. The next steps for each area are listed here, with an in-person projects open house scheduled for Bridle Trails on June 11th, and Northwest Bellevue project idea submissions being accepted through April 30th.
Teresa and I would encourage residents to get more information and to stay updated on the project status on the NEP webpage that's listed here. We thank you for your support and your participation with NEP, and we look forward to several projects that are going to be voted on in Bridle Trails in Northwest Bellevue this year, and then the completion of several other projects around the city. Thank you.
Thanks.
Great, thank you so much. Okay, anything else, City Manager?
That concludes the report tonight.
Okay, thank you. So we'll do one more item and we'll take 2 more items and then we'll take a break. So we have Councilmember Stokes making a recommendation for his appointment to the Arts Commission. Would you like to make a motion?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. I move to appoint Sandra Martinez Osorio to a partial term on the Arts Commission expiring May 31st, 2028.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Great, welcome. Welcome to Sandra. Okay, is there a motion to approve the consent calendar?
I move to approve the consent calendar.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, we're going to take a break till 7:30, and we'll start off with our 2 study session items at that time. We are back in session. We have 2 study session items tonight. And City Manager, would you like to introduce them?
Mayor and council members. Our first study session is an update on the Ashwood Park master planning process. We are joined by staff from Parks and Community Services, and we have Assistant Director Cameron Parker and Zachariah Collum, our Capital Projects Manager. And then we're also joined by the Vice Chair of the Board, Eileen Chow, to present the board's recommendation tonight. So you'll hear about what the recommendation is, but also staff will be asking for some direction from council this evening. So with that, I'll hand it over to Cameron.
Thank you, and good evening, Mayor, Deputy Mayor, Council. We are looking for direction from the Council this evening in 2 areas, and we don't need an action, just sort of a collective head nod that we're headed in the right direction in identifying a preferred design for the Ashwood Park site, as well as a preferred formal name for the Ashwood Park site, which in doing our research, we found, despite the fact that everyone's called it Ashwood Park for decades, it has not been formally named. So just again, seeking your preferences this evening. We will then go through SEPA reviews and things like that and come back for a formal action at a later point on both the design and the name as well. To get you to a place where you can identify some preferences, we have a wealth of information here to give you on the background of the project, going over a summary of the community feedback process that we've undertaken, going into some detail on the design concepts that we have studied, and then getting into the preferences as we have learned them from the community, as well as the Parks and Community Services Board in their review and their formal recommendation. With that, I'll turn it over to Zachariah to start with background.
Good evening, Mayor, Deputy Mayor, and council members. As a quick review, this is Ashwood Park. It's in downtown, located at 10875 Northeast 12th. That's the street on the top of this map. Ashwood Park is about 3.8 acres, including the landscape buffer north of the library parking lot and the 2 plazas on the south end. The master plan project really concentrates on the 2.5 acre rectangle identified in orange on the center of this image. In 1990, City Council approved the master plan for Ashwood Park that you see here. It includes 1 acre of green space, a community center with affordable housing, a plaza on the southwest corner, and a plaza on the southeast corner. Although the 2 plazas along Northeast 10th have been developed, the park itself has stayed in its undeveloped state for the last 30 years. That does not mean it hasn't been used. It's been used both scheduled, structured, and unscheduled. We've had T-ball, we've had summer camps, and a lot of fun activities there. We began this process in March of 2024 by identifying for the community where we were at since 1990, the neighborhood demographics, the open space needs and the site analysis, planning and outreach process and timeline, And we asked the community what they wanted, and we also asked them what they didn't want. Real briefly, there's a little snapshot of our website. We have almost 1,000 subscribers to our alert system for our outreach. We had a pop-up meeting March 16, 2004 in a library lobby. Before each community meeting, we mailed 6,500 invites out to residents and businesses. We posted signs in the park. We had flyers posted in residential buildings and businesses alerting people to the meetings. Each meeting was followed up with a survey. And we have also had stakeholder meetings with the library system, with BDA, and with Kids Quest. Along with posts on Facebook and X, we've had news articles in It's Your City and Neighborhood News. We've had 6 community meetings. Those include the park board meetings. The first meeting, we had over 100 people attend. In the next 2 community meetings, we had between 50 and 86 people attend. 90% of people responding to our surveys live and work in Bellevue, and 60% of those people walk or ride to Ashwood on a semi-regular basis. In the survey, we asked, what would you like to see in the development of the park? And we also asked, what would you not want to see in the development part? So looking from your left, the dark blue columns going to your right, those are what people wanted to see in the development of the park. So landscape, walking paths, picnic shelters, restrooms. The inverse, starting on the left with the orange columns, on the right, moving to the left, affordable housing, sports courts, community center, and sports fields were the items that people really didn't want to see in this park. Ranking of those items, landscape, walking paths, off-leash area, and picnic shelters really came up as the most important amenities, and that held true throughout the planning process for the park. The park's open space system plan identifies off-leash areas in downtown park as a need. This is also echoed by the results that we got on the survey and community member feedback. Another thing that is identified is the need for reservable picnic shelters. We hear this from the park scheduling office, that we need more reservable picnic shelters, especially in Ashwood. They're really excited that that is a possibility. We developed 7 concept plans or alternative plans for the project. We did 5, reached out to the public. They gave us feedback along with Parks and Community Services Board. We narrowed that down to 2. What I'd like to share with you is, of course, the 1990 plan, which is adopted, so it stays through this process with us. Alternative F and Alternative G were the winnowed down plans that we have for the project, and we're going to look at them bigger. But starting out, the Ashwood Master Plan from 1990 has an open lawn area, a community center with affordable housing. So that's 2 stories of 2 stories of community center, 3 stories of affordable housing, 2 stories of underground parking that had access off of Northeast 10th Street. And of course, the 2 plazas were part of this plan. Since 1990, the city, downtown specifically, has really grown. We've seen a 14-fold increase in residents to about 14,000 in 2020. We've seen 18 times growth in children in Bellevue to about 1,260. And in 2022, we had about 62,600 people that worked in the city on a daily basis. Unfortunately, park space has not kept up with that. In 1990, 800 square feet of open park space per resident. In 2020, that was down to 100. We've only added 5 acres to the parks in the downtown area in the last 30 years.
Does that include our recent acquisition of Coal Creek?
No.
This is just in the downtown area.
Okay,
Neighborhood.
I'd like to start in on an alternative F. And what I want to point out on this slide is that the top is north. That's Northeast 12th. And the bottom is the south end of the park. That's Northeast 10th. What I'd like to do is rotate this image so that we can see it a little bit better. It's a little bit small that way. So now oriented, the north is on your left-hand side. That's Northeast 12th Street. Moving to the right, that's south or Northeast 10th Street. So starting on the left, we have a parking lot that includes 14 to 21 parking spaces. We have a play area that is a formal play area. We have an off-leash area. In the middle, you see that we have restrooms and picnic shelters. And then we have that nice big expanse of open space. Moving south to that open space, we have terraced seating that utilizes the existing contours of the park and comes up to a plaza where we envision chairs and tables and people able to sit, enjoy the space, and have lunch. Alternative G, the second option, is pretty similar. Again, we're looking at the left-hand side being the north, right-hand side being the south. We have the same size parking lot, but we have a much bigger off-leash area. Moving into southerly, a large open lawn area. And in the north part of that open lawn area, we have an informal playground, informal play area. Across from that, on the western side, we have a restroom. And this plan is all one level, and so we move from the grass into that southern plaza with a picnic shelter. At this time, I'd like to introduce Eileen Cho, Vice Chair, thank you, of the Parks and Community Services Board.
Good evening, Mayor, Deputy Mayor, and council members. Oh, you have one more.
I do. I'm really sorry. I got lost. Okay.
We'll come back to you.
Community feedback. The community feedback we received on these plans, we asked which plan closest represents the park that you'd like to see. 60% of the respondents said that they'd like to see alternative F. That's the closest. 33, alternative G. 2% said the 1990 master plan, and 5% said none of the above. We presume that is a group that wanted to keep the park in its undeveloped state as it is right now. We asked, which off-leash area do you prefer? 58% said smaller, like alternative F. We asked, which play area do you prefer? 61% said the formal play area, like alternative F. We asked, has alternative plan F found a balance between open space and hardscape? 66% said yes, and 25% said no. So the majority of people think that alternative F found a good balance. We asked the same question of alternative G. 48% said yes. That is the majority, but 43% said no. As Cameron mentioned, this park has never formally been named, and as part of the planning process, we would like to name the park. Council resolution that was adopted provides policies and procedures for naming public parks and recreation facilities. Council typically, after getting a recommendation from Parks Board based on a neighborhood or geographical identification, a natural or geographical feature, a historical figure or name or of historical or cultural significance, an organization or individual has made a significant contribution to the park, or in the case of names of individuals or historical figures, consideration of diversity, equity, inclusion adopts a name. We asked for names for this park site. Inclusion Park, Bellevue Library Park were a couple of the alternative names that were suggested, but 92%, the majority of people, have suggested Ashwood Park be the name adopted for this site. Now I'd like to introduce Eileen Chu. Thank you.
Thank you, Zachariah. You get two greetings from me tonight then. Good evening, Mayor, Deputy Mayor, and council members. First, I would like to note that our chair, Rowena Klima, is traveling out of the country at this time, would otherwise have been here joining us tonight for this presentation. The Parks and Community Services Board studied and discussed the Ashwood Plan update at 3 meetings over the last year. Many board members also attended the public outreach events and tracked the project as it went through each phase of the design. At our meeting in February, the board discussed the 2 final alternative plans, F and G here, as well as the original 1990 master plan. The board recommendation is based on the following consideration. I'll explain kind of more beyond the bullet points here. Both F and G address the primary needs and the desire we heard from the community of keeping a large green space in downtown for thousands of residents living within the blocks of the park. The design also responded to the type of amenities that were identified during the community outreach. These included open, programmed green space, off-leash dog area, a children play area, connected walk paths, restrooms, and shelters for weather protection. Adding these amenities will make the park easier to access for all the users, increase our supply of downtown off-leash areas, and enhance our picnic and the play space in the downtown area. Additionally, the board noted the opportunities that a redeveloped park would provide to increase the connections between the program and the services at the library and the new facilities in the park. So narrowing on alternative F, the board also appreciated the formal and the symmetric design elements that echoes the design aesthetic of the downtown park. Board members also placed a weight on the community feedback, as you saw early on the slide, of those 2 alternatives, which was significantly supportive of alternative F and the name Ashwood Park. So in conclusion, after detailed and robust discussion, the Park and the Community Services Board unanimously voted to recommend alternative F as the preferred park design. And further, the board recommends formalizing the name of Ashwood Park to be the official name of the park. So thank you for your consideration of our recommendation, and we are happy to answer any questions you may have about our deliberation. Thank you.
Thank you for your presentation. Very good. I'm going to start with Councilmember Hamilton, who's the liaison for the Parks and Community Services Board.
Great. Thank you, Mayor. Thank you for the presentation. And Vice Chair Cho?
Chow or Cho, both good.
What do you say?
Cho.
Cho, then that's what I'm going to go with.
All right.
Appreciate all the hard work of the board. And I know that the board takes this kind of work very seriously and in general is very dedicated to the work of the department and representing the community. And before I get going, I just wanted to ask, I know you've visited a lot of our city's parks as kind of an example of how invested the board is, but on a percentage basis, how many of our parks have you been to?
I actually spent 6 months visited every park.
So 100%.
100%, according to the list on the website.
Duly noted. All right, I think that's pretty impressive.
Thank you.
So I love that fact about you. So anyhow, thank you for the presentation. I appreciate the passion that all of you bring to this work. I know our department director, Shiosaki, is here, and appreciate all of the work that all of you do. Also want to thank all the community members for the input that was provided, attended meetings, really gave us a lot of feedback, provided a lot of momentum, helped us get to where we are tonight. Further on the board, I just think you were critical in moving the plan update process forward. And the board collaborated with community members, were instrumental in amplifying the community's desire to create a new vision for Ashwood Park. And I know that board members actively participated in the update process from the very beginning, considered a wide range of options and data points. And the result of all of that effort is a thoughtful design and park name for us to consider. And it's a recommendation that I think, and based on what we've heard from the community tonight, which really is just contained within the presentation, I think what you've presented to us accurately reflects community preferences for the new park. So I think it is all great work. I have a couple of questions for you. Curious about available funding for the park. What are we going to be able to do, and when do you think we could get started and get finished?
I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
As the plans show, development of this park is funded by the 2022 levy, and once council approves, after we complete the environmental review, and council adopts the plan, we expect that we would be under construction in 2027 or 2028.
In a year or so after that, we can cut a ribbon? All right. Awesome. Again, really appreciate it. Appreciate all the hard work. Anxious to hear from my colleagues, but as I see it, I think I'm at the point to want to move it forward, and look forward to our discussion. So
Great.
thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Councilmember Stokes.
Yeah, I agree with my fellow council there on the assessment. And, from going back historically on these things, I think I really appreciate, I think we made some improvements on how we arrive at this and the work. It's really, really helpful to us and to the public, of course, the way you've set this up. So I think you're giving us something that's very valid to look at and everything. And one of the things I'm interested in is getting a really good park done as fast as it can. And every month we delay, it's probably 2 months down the line somewhere because it gets complicated. But without saying a whole lot more on this, because I think it's really not a very questionable, it's not, this is the alternate F is the best one. Let's put it that way. The others are good and they're interesting. I liked some of the shape of the things, looking at it. But I think when you get on the ground, that's probably part of what you have to do is look at how does it from the ground, how does it make the park better? You can have a nice looking park, but it might not be the best. So I think this is the alternative F, really covers everything very well. The other is very good, and what I liked about it is they're very, very good work on looking at it and giving different angles and giving a clear two choices on it. Sometimes we get anything, not just parks, other stuff, where it's, okay, just a little bit here, a little bit there. But this was very good in showing two really good presentations, but looking at it and looking at the way it's been used and where it fits into the rest of the city, I think alternate F is the choice.
Thank you. Councilmember Noonhouse.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Cameron, Zachariah, and Vice Chair Chow. Really appreciate the presentation tonight. And I love presentations like this because I feel like when I see community outreach like this, I think you make our jobs a lot easier. And I know it wasn't always, at least if I recall correctly, it wasn't always that easy. There was a lot of different competing ideas and some loud voices about wanting to do anything that as you described. And all those views it sounds like were taken into consideration, and you very thoughtfully made your way through taking in all that input and coming up with some designs, and then it looks like for the most part really coming to some consensus in terms of what residents want in this park. So I am 100% all in on alternative F, and I'm glad we can, even if you did change it, I probably still will call it Ashwood, even if you did change the name, but let's keep it Ashwood. I think that's great. I want to thank Councilmember Hamilton as well for his leadership here on the parks to see this through, and I'm really excited excited that we're going to keep pushing this forward and then hopefully, open up in 2028, 29. I think that's fantastic. One question for you. Was there any analysis done, as you rightly mentioned, downtown has grown quite a bit. I think the only dog run that we kind of have right now downtown is the one right here. I don't believe there's another one. We do hear complaints time to time that what's not an off-leash area in the downtown park, and we get complaints about that. Any sense of, once this opens, the amount of folks that might divert and exclusively go over there that might alleviate that issue? I don't know if we have any data in terms of the number of people with dogs that go to downtown that would go to this now, to Ashwood Park, because that's now a viable option for them. Any thoughts on that at all?
Yes, I think, time will tell. That's probably the best answer. We do have a facility at Wildwood Park, which is just south of the downtown, the Main Street kind of border, which also captures some of that downtown park residential area. So having both Wildwood and Ashwood as permanent managed, maintained facilities should be a good way to capture a lot of downtown residents. I certainly can't promise that off-leash use won't continue to occur at downtown park, but we are doing our best to provide alternate options for folks that want to follow our leash laws appropriately.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much.
Councilmember Suma Deliria.
So I love how clean, as Councilman Jirenhouse says, this makes it so easy to look. And then, as mom of 3 little kids, actually this is area we probably visit the most. There's the library right next to it, and then also there is the Kids Quest. So between this area, it's always, I think I think as frequent visitors, we always think what could be possible, what's the possibility, could make it better, right? So I really love this. And then for the name, yes, I think Ashwood makes sense, because I think as long as all my children understand, I think that's the name they remember. And as we know that, when children have more open space access for every family members, actually the rate of how healthy they can become dramatically increases, right? And then also there's activity where they can mingle with dogs and pets, which is great for allergy too, because then they can be intertwined with the community better. One question I have is the 2 sizes, the children's play area, the formal one versus informal one. What is the size difference?
Fairly significant. The informal would be about a half or just over half the size of the formal play area.
Okay. And then my other question was, so it's about the funding part, right? And then so I can see I think that there's a lot of changing different fundings these days. And then, there's the King County Open Space Equity Funding levy coming up. There's Park Levy. Do we have a game plan, when it's ready for the budget, where is the funding exactly coming from?
Yes, it's actually funded in the 2022 levy that's already been passed.
Great.
So dollars have already been allocated for the development of this park.
Okay, perfect. That's all my questions. Thank you.
Councilmember Lee.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Very well made presentation. Excellent, good work. And I want to thank the Parks Board, of course. I think you have done a great job, Vice Chair of the Commission or of the Board. It's given the premise, given the condition, given the parameter you're looking at, I think you've got the best proposal, best idea there is, and no question about it. And including the name, why not? What's wrong with Ashwood Park? And furthermore, you already have the money to do it, right? So I think you're ready. But, even given such an easy decision to make, a lot of people like to have unanimous decisions, no question. There's always somebody like me that's always going to have some questions. So I hope you can bear with me. when people live in downtown, we know there's not enough open space. So it's quite obvious. People would, like to have more. And the way they express it, alternative F definitely is far superior than any others. And the question I have is, before you tell me that we're ready to do it with money, so I was questioning in my mind, when would this be staying this way for how long? Because I believe that space in Bellevue is always very scarce, space for almost anything. And so even though, when we designed the space, 1993 or when, whatever, there's consideration for housing, right? This and that, different things. But things have changed, since has evolved. And the parameter now is that, people are looking more for open space, for needs of people to recreate, because most of the construction density has been increased in so many folds, so it's not keeping up. So I think there's no question this would be preferred for people to consider. So there's no competition. So when you propose the community survey, you are not giving some other possible options. The options really between open space, between more open space for a dense environment. So I think you come up with the best solution. My question is, if we don't do it right away, if there's a future of a number of years from now on, but there may be other uses that might be more desirable for the city. So it may not be, this may be a question that is moot because you're going to do it in the next couple of years, right? So it's going to happen pretty soon. But since I've been thinking about it, I want to just bring it up. Example is, we may need more housing, right? And this might be a better alternative. We might need community centers. We're talking about cross-culture center. So that's a possibility. But, so in comparison, if we ask the public what choice they want, whether it's between open cities versus affordable housing, they may choose affordable housing. But since that's not a question, so I think that the answer F. So you understand my context. So I'm asking you is, realistically, is that something we should consider, or whether it might be remotely possible for the council to think about, right? But if it's going to happen in a few years, maybe that is not as a moot question. So I want to ask you, when you are proposing the question for the community, asking them to make choices, you already narrow it down to what you think is going to happen, rather than open it up for the future. So my question is, in case this doesn't happen right away, is there flexibility that we still have the opportunity to consider other uses rather than just open space, such as affordable housing, community center, or other better uses in the future?
Yes, to jump to the quick answer would be yes, there would be flexibility there for a future council. I will just add that we did, throughout the process, continue to have that option of the existing master plan that does include the structure within the park area. So from a community engagement and outreach perspective, we did make sure that they understood that is still a viable option that we could pursue, while at the same time looking at other alternatives to update the master plan for more contemporary 2025 and future needs. With that, with what we have shown and displayed, that is kind of the level of funding that we have to deliver. that's the course that we would take. But if it wouldn't preclude a future council from changing their mind. We've updated this master plan now, many decades after it was originally adopted. That could certainly happen again.
Thank you. Appreciate that. Yes.
Okay, Deputy Mayor.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Michael, Cameron, Zakaria. It's an amazing work, as my council member said, that you did. And when we don't, like, I wanted to plus one council member, Nieuwenhuis and Sumadeweria, but the most plus one is we don't have anyone in the audience disagreeing with anything we never heard from. That means you guys did an amazing community engagement, hearing everyone feedbacks and reflect that in your recommendation. Thank you, Vice Chair Cho, for being here representing Parks and Community Service Boards. And of course, thank you, the liaison, Councilmember Hamilton, for all of your effort. I always think this Parks and Community Service Board is competing with transportation for the second best commission, because we all know which one is. No, okay. I have one suggestion and two questions. One, and I am aligned with option F and Ashwood as a park. One question is, in general, to make our parks function in winter months and rainy season, are we doing, and again, I haven't seen it in the map, are we doing anything to make this park or other parks in general be the whole season that we have in Washington accessible and usable?
Yes. The quick answer is yes. This is a conceptual master plan, so we haven't dived into actual construction documents and physical design. When we do that, we'll absolutely be taking into consideration options to make this a year-round park.
Thank you. Now two questions, and again, I just wanted to understand. So in your survey, you gave three names: Library Park, Inclusion Matters Park, and Ashwood Park, and you asked them to pick between these three?
No, we had an open-ended question. And we asked for suggestions, and we got those two park suggestions along with Ashwood Park. So that we had 2 or 3 respondents that said Inclusion Matters Park, and probably about 6 that said Bellevue Library Park, and everyone else was Ashwood Park. It should remain.
Okay, I understand. So you asked everyone, the 200 people that you surveyed, just come up with the names, and everyone came with Ashwood Parks, basically. Great. Then the second question is kind of what Councilmember Lee asked. So in this case, we went to the community survey and said, hey, 200 people, you guys near your house, a nice open space park or any development, and I know anyone in Bellevue is fed up with development. So yeah, the 69% I guess said we don't want the community center or housing. And that is the only decision criteria that we have. Like, we made it completely based on the surveys, and we said, okay, we are going with the surveys, so no affordable housing, no community center. We just go with the majority, 69%, and we just make it a park, open space, and the beautiful design of number F. That was the only ration, or was other rations that we in our decision-making used to make that a complete decision?
Certainly the community feedback is an important part of the process. I wouldn't say it's the only part of the process. In looking at some of our initial data just on overall how we're providing park level of service and access to downtown residents today, looking at the amount of acreage we have per downtown resident, did point us toward looking at an option that would preserve that 2 acres rather than dividing it essentially in half and providing in the future 1 acre of open park area with the structure that's in the current 1990 plan. There's certainly enough demand and need in the neighborhood and looking forward into the future for the pipeline of many more multifamily, large, dense projects coming to the Ashwood sub-neighborhood that warrant having more of a 2-acre open space area to serve that neighborhood well.
So was the community surveys and the huge need for additional park in downtown area, these combines made the decision solid that we go with open space and option F. Thank you, Mayor, that's mine. Thank you so much.
Okay, well, I would say that the Parks and Community Services Board made this a really easy decision for us. I just had a question for you, Vice Chair Cho. Was there anything that stuck out in your mind as the biggest impediment to moving forward with this option?
With F?
Mm-hmm.
I don't think so. I think, I attended, pretty much every community event on this, from the very first meeting to the fact that I think Deputy Mayor said the fact that there's nobody in the in the chair means that this is the right decision. And that was what I felt when we were deliberate on the F and G and versus 1990. There was nobody came for the public comments.
Okay.
So I felt like it's the right choice, and I think the board unanimously voted for F.
Terrific. Okay, well, I think I hear a consensus from my colleagues that we should identify alternative F as a preferred plan. Can I get a head nod? Yes, okay.
I just have one burning question that I have to ask Vice Chair Chow. Since you've been to every park in the city, which one was your favorite?
That's a hard question. Hidden Valley Park. It is, especially with the new developed kids playground. Every time I play pickleball there, I see a lot of people use the new playground. It's very popular.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Great. Okay, thank you so much. Do you have the information that you need from us?
Yes, thank you.
All right, great.
Thank you.
Okay, we have another study session item. City Manager?
Yes, Mayor and council members. So this next item is on our Great Neighborhoods program, and this is an update on the 2 neighborhoods currently in the process, Crossroads and Newport. This program, it was initiated in 2018, and this is a community-driven process for developing the neighborhood area plans. So we are joined tonight by Tara Johnson, our planning director, Kate Nessy, comprehensive planning manager, and Toon Dooling, our senior planner. And with that, I will turn it over to Tara.
Thank you, City Manager Carlson. Good evening, Mayor Robinson, Deputy Mayor, council members. So we're here this evening to provide council with an update on the Great Neighborhoods program, so updates to both the Crossroads and Newport neighborhoods. So we started this process, came before council, as you may recall, in September of 2024, just before the comprehensive plan was adopted. And council provided direction for us to launch the process. Council started this process in 2018, and then we subsequently updated Northeast and Northwest just before we started work on the periodic updates. So with that, we've re-engaged with Great Neighborhoods. So tonight, what we want to do is provide you with an update of what we've been up to since September of last year. So we'll start off with providing council with background on the Great Neighborhoods program. We'll provide a little bit of context on what neighborhood area plans are really all about. We'll talk a little bit about the overall planning process, and then we'll touch on the scope, which we've redefined a little bit with the Crossroads and Newport updates. We'll talk a lot about community engagement as part of this briefing, because that's primarily what we've really focused on over the last many months. And then conclude with the legislative process and how we intend to bring back the plan to City Council, of course, going through the Planning Commission process as well for final completion and adoption. So with that, we're going to start off and we'll tag team a little bit, turn things over to Kate to provide a little bit of background.
Thanks so much, Tara. So the Great Neighborhoods Program, the objective when council launched it back in 2018 was to take the citywide policies and provide more detail, to tailor them to the neighborhood priorities that are learned through the community engagement process and updating the plans, and then to develop local policies that respond to issues and opportunities that are specific to those neighborhood areas, so those neighborhoods can grow in their own unique way. Bellevue has, as you know, 16 neighborhoods, and all of the 16 neighborhoods have their own flavor. They're all different, and when council launched this in 2018, the purpose was really to engage with those neighbors and those neighborhoods and enhance that local flavor for each of the neighborhoods. The neighborhood area plans are part of the comprehensive plan. They're volume 2. The citywide policies are in volume 1. Both volume 1 and volume 2, the comprehensive plan, provide a long-range vision over 20 years for the future of the city. And the policies in those plans lead to actions, decisions, and capital investments over the long term. As Tara mentioned, this was launched in 2018. The city has adopted 2 plans, 2 great neighborhoods, Northeast and Northwest, back in 2021, and launched the update to Crossroads in Newport last September in 2024, with a scope that was adjusted based on community feedback through the first 2 plans and based on your direction as well. So I will pass it to Tun to talk a little bit about the scope.
Thanks, Kate. So before providing an overview on the community engagement process to date, it's important to consider the diversity and variety of these 2 neighborhood areas. So while Crossroads Park and the mall are well-known community assets, the neighborhood area Crossroads stretches further west and encompasses a variety of sub-neighborhoods, commercial districts, and natural areas like Kelsey Creek. And Newport is similarly diverse and covers distinct neighborhoods, both west of 405 and up front on Lake Washington. And Newport is known for its natural beauty and diverse neighborhoods that contain a variety of housing options. So the planning process is structured into 4 distinct phases, and community engagement is a key component of each phase. And since launching our work with council in September, we've completed the first 2 phases, the discover and the define phase. And tonight's update will focus on community engagement activities that were conducted during those first 6 months, and where the ongoing refine phase provides the community with a variety of opportunities to review and provide feedback on the draft plans, before moving to the adopt phase, which is the last phase, the legislative process. And central to that phase is first Planning Commission review before moving to council later in the year. So again, about what the key elements of neighborhood area plans are, what is sort of the central scope to these plans. They center around neighborhood's identity, its unique identity, its public spaces, and how those public spaces can be strengthened through urban design. And there the focus is very much on those public spaces. So to set it maybe apart from like a land use code amendment that is more focused on private property and how to develop that, neighborhood area planning is very much centered on community gathering spaces and public spaces. Land use was a potential scope item of these neighborhood area plans. It is up to property owners to propose changes to the future land use map, which is part of the volume 1 of the comprehensive plan, but no changes were initiated by property owners during this time. It's also important to note that the future land use map was recently comprehensively updated as part of the comprehensive plan that was adopted in the fall. And our engagement, now to focus on that during the remainder of the presentation, our engagement aims to ensure representative participation of our community through equitable, inclusive engagement, and we use a number of strategies for that as outlined in our community engagement plan. For example, we have expanded our cultural outreach assistance program to be better able to reach also our Korean communities, of which there's a sizable community in the Newport neighborhood area. And over the summer, that was when we started, the first thing we did was to build relationships with community members, mainly focused on those that had participated previously in city initiatives, as well as Bellevue Essentials alumni. And those relationships were really instrumental in driving community engagement and participation throughout the process. And as you can see, like the first phase after the launch in the fall, the Discover phase, has a variety of engagement activities ranging from large community in-person community events, but also small group meetings. But we also have online engagement options through our online engagement hub, Engaging Bellevue. So all this took place in the fall of last year. And then in the new year, during the Define phase, our engagement activities centered around a public space event series, as you can see here on the screen. And we hosted, again, a variety of activities to solicit broad inputs on how to create well-designed public spaces in both Crossroads and Newport. And those are all separate activities, but we're going through like a parallel planning process for both neighborhood areas. And we're currently in the refine phase, so we wrapped up our engagement activities for the define phase earlier this month. And now in the refine phase, we're soliciting feedback, or we're going to solicit feedback on draft policies, draft plans, and we'll again be providing the community with a variety of options to provide their feedback in different review iterations. And over the last 6 months, we've seen broad and diverse engagement from the community, both in Newport and in Crossroads. We've been focused on engaging residents of both neighborhood areas, both directly, but also through their community clubs, their HOAs. And to ensure representative participation from our diverse communities, we've also conducted targeted outreach to reduce barriers for certain groups to participate. And to put our engagement in numbers, we've seen broad participation over the last 6 months, both at in-person activities as well as through our online engagement hub, Engaging Bellevue, and all Crossroads and Newport residents also received a mailed questionnaire. And just to point out that our engagement reports provide a full summary for both Crossroads and Newport engagement, and were included in the meeting packet. So what did we learn so far? In the Discover phase, again, that's the phase that took place during the fall of last year. We've engaged the community in a very broad sense to better understand how it sees itself, the core values that it holds, and how it sees its future as a neighborhood area. And these inputs that were gathered during that time helped to inform a draft vision reflective of those core values, as well as helped us to identify initial policy moves, which were then shared out again for community feedback. And our policy moves and also our urban design guiding principles again center on public spaces. So what you can see here is public spaces that include trails, parks and plazas, streets, and so on. So specifically for Crossroads, what did we learn? Well, through that extensive community engagement, we've learned that the Crossroads community really values its diversity, and that can take many shapes and forms. Its easy access to services and amenities, and also that it would like to see improved access to its green spaces, as well as transit options. And as you can see here on the screen, there was one community member that covered that broad feedback very well and very accurately in the vision statement that they put forward. And similarly for Newport, or Newport actually has its own unique identity that is also, again, well captured by a participant in our community engagement process. And here you can see that different from Crossroads, Newport community members really value different things, like its natural beauty, its sense of community. And the Newport community expresses a desire for more community gathering spaces to build those social connections, especially indoors, as well as improved connectivity. And that takes two forms. That is both by improving walking and biking options, as well as addressing traffic congestion in the neighborhood area. So the public space series, again, that was the focus of our engagement earlier this year. We wrapped that up earlier this month. And as part of that, we organized, again, a variety of activities that were really meant to be family-friendly and accessible to all, and that we hosted in-person activities throughout the neighborhood areas to get broad input and participation. And this public event series consisted of both in-person workshops and events. We had pop-up events and multiple, at different locations, multiple different times of the week. But we also had self-guided activities like a neighborhood scan, and again, online engagement options. And what we learned so far for both communities, for both neighborhood areas, is while they are both unique and distinct from each other, there's also key similarities in community feedback across the two neighborhood areas. And we can see, for instance, a desire for improved access to green spaces, better walking and biking connections that are common feedback across both Crossroads and Newport. And then as we are currently in the refine phase, where through different iterations, we collect feedback on draft plans and policies in the few months to come. After that, we're moving to the legislative process, the adopt phase. And looking ahead at that process, it's important to note that neighborhood area plans follow the comprehensive plan amendment process. So this means that the Planning Commission will review the draft plans, will hold a public hearing, a separate public hearing for each neighborhood area plan, and then would issue a recommendation to City Council. And then, according to our tentative schedule, we're looking at early summer for public hearings and a recommendation from Planning Commission, and then council review and subsequent adoption later in the fall of this year. And I'll now hand it back to Tara.
Thank you, Tin. So with that, that concludes our presentation, and we're here this tonight to answer any questions for information only. And of course, we'll be back before City Council in the fall when we have a Planning Commission recommendation. We also wanted to note this is Councilmember Stokes' last meeting, so just acknowledge and appreciate all the amazing work and dedication that he's shown. He was very active when we went through our periodic update, definitely a frequent attendee, and so just appreciate our ability to work with him over these many years.
Nice. Well, why don't we start out with you, Councilmember Stokes?
Okay, yes, yeah. Got to remember to punch that thing in. I don't have to do that anymore.
Yeah.
I appreciate that very much. I was just sitting here thinking about this, and I love doing this, but I'm really glad we're moving things forward. And the other thing, it's not exactly this, but I also interesting, and I think what you're doing is really great. I mean, this is really good, and I'm looking forward to it. And I would like to be in on the whole process, but again, that's that happens. But I think it's really good, really accurately opposed on these things, and it's about time to get the Crossroads and Newport neighborhood areas going on. So that's very good. I'm really glad to see that going. It just reminded me of kind of when I first came on the council and from Parks Board, and talking about Ashwood Park, and then other stuff I was doing had to do with the neighborhood programs and everything, and we're doing that tonight. So that's kind of interesting. I'm glad to see that. But on the topic exactly, I think it's a really great presentation and program for this. That is an area we're struggling with in some ways of it going forward, and they're just part of the tremendous growth that's happened in Bellevue. And so, obviously, we have to really do a lot of work, and I find this to be a very well done and very concentrated and very doable program on this end. So I'm very pleasant to, I'm very pleased to see the work done, and I'm looking forward to hearing about it in the future and seeing it done sometime, and hopefully sooner than later. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Councilmember Lee.
Thanks. Well, very good work, very good information. And I think what you've done is really getting a good feedback from the community. One thing that I think stands out for me is people like to have a place where they can meet and gather and communicate and feel that there's a community, sense of community. Whether it be a place or whether it be a park or something, I think that's the thing that brings them from isolation. But they still like to have privacy, I believe. That's why they want to live in neighborhood. But the key is that there's more and more community, more people from all over the world. And I think if they have the opportunity, there's a sense of not connecting unless, and they feel isolated. It's not healthy. So I believe that we need to consider in your feedback from the community. I hope that that's something that we can reflect and we can build on. That's all I really have to say. But this has to be done. You're doing it, and I think it's a good job. Keep up the good work.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Newhouse.
Mayor, great comments. Thank you so much, Toon and Tara, and thank you so much. A great presentation tonight. I wanted to ask if there was any, the last time I checked at least, does Crossroads have an official neighborhood association, or at least an active one? I know Newport Hills, Newport Shore, they tend to be very active, but does Crossroads have one? I'm just wondering what, did you hear the same level of feedback during your outreach from both neighborhoods, or was there a difference? And if so, how did you kind of balance that feedback that you were hearing?
Yeah, that's a good observation. Where Newport is organized in HOAs, community clubs around the different sort of sub neighborhoods. That is less so in Crossroads. We did have smaller group meetings with groups of neighbors, but they were more informally organized as neighbors, not so much like through an official HOA or a community club.
Yep.
There's a lot of Crossroads residents live in multifamily developments. So in our engagement, we've tried to engage directly with the property managers of those multifamily developments to increase participation from their residents. So that is both for market rate developments. We've done that, but we've also early on engaged with King County Housing Authority. They own and manage multiple properties in Crossroads, and we've engaged with them to make sure that our events are sort of promoted in their periodic communications, that the flyers were put up in sort of their laundry room or shared spaces. So that's how we try to have that approach for Crossroads, considering that its residents are organized slightly different than, for instance, Newport.
Yeah, exactly. Well, as long as we're getting the feedback, I mean, that's the most important thing, and it doesn't always need to come from a more organized association or group. But when you come back to us, it'd be helpful for me. I'd like to see like the actual numbers of how many residents were actually attending or you were able to reach and speak to, all the great outreach that you've done here. I think that would be a good barometer, as well as some dates and other numbers or data that you can supply around with that. If that's always very helpful. It is, at least for me, it is. But that's I'm glad that the Bellevue Essentials tool was able to be very effective in terms of reaching out to all the, I believe, the Bs, right? The Bellevue Essentials alumni group or extended group. That's great, and I'm sure there'll be a continually good source going forward as well. But I think there's some other neighborhoods where that might come up again in terms of it might not always be, as direct in terms of who are those folks or groups or associations that we need to engage in order to get the true feedback that we're looking for. But other than that, I think it's a great presentation. I really look forward to when it comes back to us again, and keep up the great work, and look forward to reviewing this further. Thank you.
Great. Councilmember Hamilton.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you for the presentation. I think this is such an important process for the city. I'm excited to see how we can build on all of the amazing work done in the comprehensive plan update as we look at these smaller areas of the city in a new context. Carefully analyzing specific areas of the city and creating a strategy for how to make them work better for the folks who live and visit them is critical. Ultimately, we'll be able to stitch these suburban sub-area plans together to bring the vision of a newly adopted comprehensive plan to life. It's what the community expects of us, and it's exciting to see it happen. The engagement process in place is comprehensive. I love the comments we got from the Odell Middle School students and the pages of comments from community members in Crossroads and Newport. I appreciate the fact that the community has a lot of time to engage and can choose to be involved in any or all of the phases. I also appreciate that the engagement process emphasizes the importance of equitable engagement and diverse voices. I look forward to being involved in the process as it moves forward and then making a final decision later this fall. So thank you.
Great. Thank you. Councilmember Suma Deweria.
Thank you. Ever since Spring Square, I think the most commonality I hear is I feel like sometimes residents feel they're not being engaged enough. So I'm so proud of you all, like trying our best to making sure that we meet them where they are. And that's the best way of engaging. So thank you for doing that. And then so a few questions I have is I'm looking at, there's a one slide that said, when we're doing the engagement, there's different languages of the way we engage. Can you share with me how many languages do we provide for the residents?
Yeah, sure. So early on in the process, we identify sort of what are the top language needs in both neighborhood areas. Also, based on that, we decided to expand our cultural outreach assistance program specifically with someone who would be able to reach the Korean community because it has a big representation in Newport. And we use those languages that we identified as sort of the top languages spoken in those neighborhood areas. We then translated our materials for those workshops so that people who would like to participate using those languages were able to do so.
So what was the common language used in Crossroads?
Okay, let's go from memory. It is
Chinese and Spanish were the top two in Crossroads.
Okay.
And Korean and Chinese were the top two.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you. Another question was, there's slide 2, there's one question about, the desire to using the vacant, underutilized area. Was there any idea of what the resident wanted, or was there any ideas on that?
For the school district properties in Newport, there's lots of ideas.
Okay, we can have a different session on that, but I'm just wondering, because people, I think I'm interested in that. And then another one is, because I see that, how the two areas very differently diverse, right? So is there anything in the study where it was super surprising?
I think one of the, I suppose it's not terribly surprising, but it just in the same vein of that Councilmember Neuenhuis and Councilmember Hamilton brought up, engaging with the communities. The engagement, they responded to different things, different outreach methods differently. And so I think that really just highlighted the need to use multiple ways of engaging the community across the city, because different folks have different needs. So I think that, for me, was probably the most surprising.
Yeah, I can add something. Because our scope is so focused on public spaces, you hear a lot, like people are in these communities or in their neighborhood areas every day. So there's a lot of opportunities or challenges identified that even though we go out into the neighborhood often, like that are not known to us. So it is really important for us to take note of and when those opportunities and challenges are identified, for maybe an opportunity to do something different in the future for a specific public space.
Thank you.
Deputy Mayor.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Tara, Kate, Toon, the whole entire community development team for their great work on this community center's work. Thank you, Emil King. I had a lot of good thank you on the community engagement, but I think Councilmember Hamilton and other people said that. So I'm just going to ask my one question and then one comment. My one question is, can you speak to how this process will integrate or complement other stuff that we are doing? We are doing we are doing middle housing, we are doing HOMA, we are doing a transportation facility plan, all of these affordable housing strategy. And I know this is just two neighborhood, but can you elaborate on how all of this process will integrate or complement each other?
Absolutely, I'm happy to address that. So we've been collaborating and coordinating very closely with development services and other initiatives. There's also transportation departments working on a number of initiatives too. And they're all part of our team as well. As part of our staff team, they attend all our outreach meetings. So they're able to really hear a lot of the community feedback and incorporate that into their initiatives. So it does address multiple efforts. What we're doing with the neighborhood area plans is, of course, updating them, since they haven't been updated since both of these neighborhoods since the late 80s, early 90s. So part of it is identifying what's changed in that neighborhood area at a local level, and then identifying, as Tun and Kate have said, what's really important to the community in terms of the vision and what they want to see that's unique to their neighborhood area. Some of the other initiatives that are ongoing, like middle housing, for example, that's something we're looking at from a citywide perspective, and that's something we looked at in terms of policy development with the periodic updates. So we added policies into our housing element that really provided that direction for us to look at different types of housing options at a citywide scale. So it really does complement the policy framework that we're doing with the neighborhood area plans.
Thank you. That's awesome. My comment is about, so you said when was the last time we updated these neighborhood plans?
Late 80s, early 90s.
And what is our plan to update it again? Like the same, assume Northwest Bellevue, that we just did it in 2022, when are we
21,
updating?
22.
When are we
So-
updating that again?
So we'll go through the entire cycle.
16.
Yes, so we're doing 2 per year,
Yeah.
essentially. So we're actually going to launch, I think one of our slides showed that, we'll be launching Factoria and Eastgate, coming back to council for direction on that in the fall. And then following that, there'll be 2 more that get launched in 2026, and so on. And so once we're complete with all the updates of all the neighborhood area plans, then we'll start over.
So that's my comment. How can we ensure that this urban design framework develop in a way that we can be more flexible and nimble to update it? Because this community change, the demographic change, the challenges change, the housing need, the mobility change, and I don't think we can just stay each 12, 14, I don't know, assume 16 divided by 2, 8, it takes 2 years for, I don't know, 15 years. I don't think we can go each 15 years and update them, and I think we should be able to update them more frequent and easier. So have you thought about any framework or a way that we can update them more flexibly and easier?
I think what we're looking at, when we look at some of the, it's lessons learned, right? We see the policies that have been developed in the past, and some of the policy language is pretty specific, whereas the policy language that we're developing now is broader, more flexible, so it provides the framework and the direction, but it isn't like basically replicating code in any way. So we're providing that flexibility in there. And then even within that time frame of updating these area plans, we are going to have another periodic update to do in another few years. So we have to balance all of those things too.
Thank you.
Sorry, I have really bad allergies. They're getting worse. I think everybody asked all my questions. I just have one other one. That property in Newport Hills, I think that was recently used for fire training. Am I right? The Ringdahl Elementary?
Yes, the school
And so,
property.
is it possible to create more partnerships like that so that we can utilize properties like that? I guess work with the school district and try to do that. It seems like a good use of an empty building.
Absolutely, we have started engaging with the school district, and so that's something we can look at as well, if that's something council wants to provide direction on.
Is it something we want to provide?
Or
Do you
if
want to know
us
now?
to address as part of the neighborhood area plans, we can certainly look into it.
How do you guys feel about looking into that?
Yep.
And you as well. Okay, I think there's a consensus on that. All right, thank you. Great presentation. Thanks for the good work.
Thank you.
Okay, I think that we are at the end of the meeting and we are adjourned. Congratulations, John. I feel like I should give you this, but.